So, in our last class, we were discussing that human beings identify themselves with different designations, different caste and religion. And that's why they experience no peace because they are just busy in disputing, they're just busy in proving themselves greater than other people, which is just false ego. So it is very much important that one should understand that we belong to one Father, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and we are fragmental part of Krishna. This topic, this line is hitting me every single day these days. That how amazing is this that only Lord Krishna is announcing this thing that I am the ultimate controller of everything. Everything is coming from me. Every living being is fragmental part of me. Only Lord Krishna is telling this thing in Bhagavad Gita. No any other person or demigod, no one is telling this thing. Nowhere. So how amazing is that? So one should understand this thing that we are fragmental part of Lord Krishna, and anyone who will understand this thing, his life will be successful because he will not be wasting his time in other rubbish things or in proving himself or herself greater than others. Because he is understanding that my constitutional status, I am fragmental part of Krishna, I am servant of Krishna, and other beings are also fragmental part of Krishna. We belong to one Father, and other people are my brothers and sisters. We will also discuss this thing in our Hindi class today. Okay, let's see. There are different kinds of bodies and different activities in accordance to the different types of bodies. A dog enjoys one kind of activity, a cat enjoys another, and a human enjoys another. So one should understand this thing that anyone, if he will get particular kind of body, then he will be helpless to act like that. If any living being has got dog's body, then he will be helpless to behave like a dog. Or if he has got a cat's body, then he will be helpless to behave like a cat. He will be helpless. There will be no scope of behaving like any other being. We human beings can mimic animals, but when any living being will really get bodies of these animals, then he will be helpless to behave like that. So this is very striking point that beings become helpless and they are bound to act in that particular body. They are just helpless. There are differences of activity due to the differences of body. When we come to the platform of truth, however, and understand that we are not these bodies, then our activities change from material activities to spiritual activities. As long as we are operating under the bodily conception of life, our activities are material. But as soon as we understand, I do not belong to this body, aham brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, our activities will be in accordance to that realization. That is to say that they will cease to be motivated from the material or bodily platform. So, see, one should understand this thing that the ultimate purpose of this human form of life is to do something for our self realization. So, if any person is trying to preach you, or any other person is trying to preach that no, you should give importance to your materialistic things, you should give more importance to your materialistic matters, then he is actually animalistic. Prabhupada ji says this. These are not my words. That anyone who is not giving importance to his something which we do for self realization, but he's only engrossed in materialistic things. See, of course, we are living in material world. We have to do material things, but that should be also done in relation to Krishna. And that's why you see now how beautifully Srila Prabhupada ji has given this training. How easily we can connect things with Krishna. No any hardship. Very easy. It is very easy. It is this much easy that people may even miss it. But it's just very easy. As we understand this thing, then our material activities, they just change to spiritual activities. We are doing those activities only. We are right now also, we are eating, we are sleeping, or whatever other things we are doing, but we are doing it in relation with Krishna. We are cleaning or whatever, taking bath, but that is, we are doing all of these things in relation to Krishna. So one person was asking me this, that how one can, like, one can do anything he is doing connecting it with Krishna. All you have to do is you just have to become conscious. Right now also you sleep, but you sleep so that you may wake up in the morning and attend morning program and chant your rounds. So there's a huge difference. You were sleeping before also, but now Krishna is in center. Very, like, it's a big, huge difference now. So our material activities, they change into spiritual activities. So one should understand this thing. Anyone who is giving, or he's trying to preach you that you give more importance to your materialistic things, then he's actually animalistic. And that can be your any loved ones. This might be a little heavy, but this is reality. If he is not understanding, anyone who is trying to preach that you give more importance to your materialistic things, if he is not understanding this thing, then it is his problem. Why we stop our devotional services? Because he is not understanding the real thing. Today when Mataji was telling me that his father was just started blaspheming her, etc., etc., because um, she just said no, that I will no more consume non-veg now. I don't want to consume non-veg now. So that's why her father was blaspheming her. So she was saying like this only, that my father was saying that now I have become very bad girl. So I was telling this, you haven't did anything bad if you have said no, that I will not consume non-veg. But it's like you just have to be very polite. Don't fight with them. You can politely say that no, I don't feel like consuming non-veg now, I will not eat. So they will not understand. They, for them, that thing is right, which they are following from the very starting. But that is really not correct. And this we understand from scriptures. So this is very much important, that we should not make counselor, we should not choose anyone as our counselor and accept their counseling. We should understand that human form of life is meant for invoking our relationship with Supreme Personality. Just fix this thing in your mind. Knowledge of, okay, wait, let me just. Hmm. Knowledge of our proper identity as separate from the body is real knowledge, but this knowledge is denied as long as we cling to bodily identification. Knowledge of our proper identity as separate from body is real knowledge, but this knowledge is denied as long as we cling to bodily identification. So it is clear. In the scriptures, it is said that as long as we are in this bodily conception of life, all our activities will be defeated. So one should understand this thing that anyone who is just doing anything he is doing for the sake of only satisfying his bodily needs, he can never get satisfied. One have to do needful, but this should not be the ultimate purpose, that yeah, only nourishing this body, only fulfilling the bodily needs is the ultimate purpose of my life. This is actually foolishness. A child is born into ignorance, and if as he grows older, he remains under the bodily conception of life, he lives in darkness. So, one beautiful thing one devotee was telling, Prabhuji was telling that one devotee was telling that I was born in ignorance, but I am not forced to die in ignorance. Can you understand this line? When we take birth, we are so much in ignorant. We don't know, we are not like, we are so much helpless, we can't do anything. But when that child grows older, then also he remains under the bodily conception only. That, yeah, I am this body, I have to survive, I have to nourish my body, etc., etc. So he is actually living in darkness. This is really like very important point to understand. You just think about this thing. What if we were living the same life as we were living before? Isn't this a great misery? Can you actually observe this thing that we were actually living in darkness before? We also grew older, grew up, and we were remained under bodily conception only. We were not thinking about beyond those bodily conceptions until we got the association of devotees. So this is very amazing line that we were born in ignorance, but we are not forced to die in ignorance. Very important line, one more very important thing, that we this is our responsibility only, that we do something for our self realization. This is only responsible for this thing. People will come to bewilder you, they will just try to distract you, but this is your responsibility, that you take charge of. You will be doing your devotional services every single day, no matter what will come in your life, whatever happens, you don't have to distract. We only have to become responsible for this. Otherwise, we were born in darkness and we may die in darkness. You all are nice devotees, but one should meditate on this thing. A child is born into ignorance, and if he lives in darkness. how darkness giving so much priority to these materialistic things. Let's just meditate on this point more. If you see in your past generation who have like who have left their bodies, if I talk about my family, I'm not able to recognize this thing that there was anyone who invested, not spent, invested his life by doing something for his self realization. I can't I can't recognize this thing that any of the family members from my family did anything or something for Krishna. So you see, whatever they were thinking that these things are very much important for me, they may build big houses, they may earn so much of money, but now as they left their body, these things are of no use. But if anyone who is living, who is alive, he's actually alive if he's doing something for Krishna. This we discussed in our Hindi class. Otherwise, he is merely dead only. If he's not doing something for invoking his relationship with Krishna in service to Krishna, then he is merely dead. So, can you just relate with this point that anything material we do in this material world, once we will left this body, it will be of no value. We can't take anything with us. Anything that we if we made big house or earn so much of money or whatever things, we can't take those things with us. But whatever we do for Krishna, whatever activities we are doing for pleasing Krishna, that is saving in our account for always, permanently. And if suppose if we are not going back to Godhead in this lifetime, then we will definitely get chance to continue our spiritual journey from where we left. So this is actually a very big investment. So now we won't be wasting our time in all these materialistic things. Of course, you all are devotees, you might not be doing it. Devotees always try to save their time and they just want to do more and more for Krishna only. But then also, you will see sometimes we give so much importance to many rubbish things. So, at that time, immediately we should remember this thing that whatever material I am doing, it will be of no value. It's just waste of time. So, let's do something for Krishna. Or whatever, if we are doing, we should see connection, a relation of Krishna in that. We should try to put Krishna in center. Just like few months ago, I had to go somewhere. Uh, there was something was there, so I had to go. But there also, I catch one girl. She was teenager, 10 to 12 years, and I was discussing Krishna book with her, Krishna Leela. So this way, we can devotees always they just think that how we can connect things with Krishna, how we can do something for Krishna. This is real intelligence. So this is very amazing line that we were born in ignorance, but we are not forced to die in ignorance. His position that of a Shudra. In the Vedic literatures, we find that in this age, everyone is born a Shudra. Shudra means? Shudra, there are four categories in which one is Shudra. Shudra is one who lives in darkness, ignorance. Therefore, everyone requires to be educated as to his real identity. If, however, we remain satisfied with our birth by our father and mother, we will remain in our condition as Shudra. We have to rise to the Brahminical platform by following the purificatory process. Let's understand this with one example. You will understand it very nicely. You might have seen in movies or you might have heard somewhere that if any boy, any child, if he has born in a rich family, suppose his father is a king, then that boy, the child of that king, will also be king in his future. And suppose if one has taken birth in a family of rickshawala, then that child of that rickshawala will also become a rickshawala. But this is really not true. You might have seen this in movies that this is really not true. That if his father is whatever, a mechanic, small mechanic, then his child will also be a mechanic. Or if anyone's father is a doctor, then his child will also become a doctor. This is not mandatory at all. So, same way, if suppose our parents were born in ignorance and they are still in ignorance only, I'm saying this for example only. So, it is not mandatory that we were also born in ignorance, so we remain in ignorance only. We have to rise to the Brahminical platform. It is mandatory. Otherwise, they will just end up frustrating their whole lives. You just think about this thing now that people they are working so much hard for the sake of survival. But is this really a survival? Are they really surviving or they are actually dying? They are actually dying living. They are living, but they are actually dying. They are not surviving. This is not the real survival. People often say we are doing it for the sake of survival, but that is really not a survival. They are actually frustrating their whole life. And they are not questioning also. They are not thinking that why are we surviving? Why are we struggling so much? So one have to rise to the Brahminical platform. And how is that possible? By following the purificatory processes. And what are those purificatory processes? The four regulative principles. Let's discuss more. As mentioned before, there are four basic characteristics of an impure life: illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. These are four impurities. See how merciful Srila Prabhupada ji is. He has already given us main things which one have to follow. Suppose if there were five regulative principles, these four principles, and apart from this, you only have to consume sattvic food, only boiled veggies, and only one time. You can eat only one time grain. So how it would be very much difficult, is it not? But you see, Prabhupada ji has given main things to us. And these are actually main. Whoever will follow these four principles, you will see like he's definitely following a purity in his life, and with his association, he can inspire other people also. Prabhupada ji himself tells this thing that whoever is chanting 16 rounds, following four regulative principles, if he will preach anywhere, then his preaching will be inspiring for sure. People will get inspired with his preaching and they will start doing bhakti. Even though you will see, you might preach someone and you might think, oh, he's not listening to me, he's not understanding. But then also, uh, you have opened his account of bhakti. He will definitely do bhakti in future. So see how pure this process is. According to the Vedic principles, sex should not be indulged in outside of marriage. In human society, therefore a system of marriage which distinguishes us from the cats and dogs. You see that there is no any system of marriage in animals. They don't do any marriages or something. But in human society, there is therefore a system of marriage which distinguishes us from the cats and dogs. Whether we are Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, we acknowledge the system of marriage. So even though people are identifying themselves with different caste and religion, but then also the system of marriage is there. People do marry because this system of marriage is there in human society. One very beautiful quote by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. You might not see here, but I can see on my screen what Radhanath Swami Maharaj is telling. In marriage, the higher principle is to help each other in loving God and to love and protect each other for that purpose. So, the ultimate purpose of marriage is that partners they encourage themselves to do more bhakti in achieving their highest goal, that is going back to Godhead. But you see people who are not Krishna conscious, who are not following any purity, Krishna is not in their center. Their center is sense gratification, and that's why you will see these marriages, they just become very painful for them. They struggle so much. Why? Because sense gratification is there. There is no any higher purpose in their lives. Is it not? You see now, Prabhuji often tells this thing that any in grahast ashram, if partners are not Krishna conscious, then their life is just boring. There is nothing to do. So this is very beautiful quote by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that ultimate purpose of getting married is to encourage partners to achieve their higher purpose. And you will see they really encourage. Why? Because Krishna is in center. So they actually follow purity. So the purpose of this system is to avoid illicit sex. According to the Vedic system, intoxication is also discouraged. Nor is nor is meat eating advocated, for human beings should be non-violent. We have been given sufficient grains, fruits, milk, and vegetables. Just a second. Hmm. We have been given sufficient grains, fruits, milk, and vegetables, and there is no necessity to kill poor animals. So you will see this is second principle, which we will discuss in our next class because it will be a lengthy discussion. So we'll continue in our next class. We will stop here now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.